Dudes, welcome to creamy mushroom puff pastry pie. This is like a hug for your belly. This is magnificent, this is delicious, and this is perfect for any time of year. Great way to use mushrooms. It is a recipe from our new book. It is from the mushroom chapter, and this is what it's gonna look like here. First step, take a wide bottom non-stick pan. We're gonna put a tablespoon of oil just to enable better caramelization. And we're gonna take 400 grams of mushrooms of choice. Here we're using chestnut and just chop them into large strips. Just make sure your pan is nice and hot, and in go our mushrooms. Might seem like loads of mushrooms, but don't worry, they will sweat down and evaporate some of their moisture. Okay, we've got one medium leek. With leek most people think is kind of a bland veg, but leek is one of the most beautiful and succulent of all vegetables. So with leek, often in Ireland and the UK, we use the white of the leek, and then in kind of northern Spain, they tend to use the green. Today, we're gonna use all parts of the leek. So just make sure, chop it in half, chop down the middle of the green parts, and give it a good rinse, because there's often lots of sediment can end up in here. So take your leek, we're gonna chop them into chunks. So I've got 3 cloves of garlic. Mushroom and garlic is such a beautiful combination. The beautiful thing about this dish is it only uses 10 ingredients. I shouldn't be pointing my knife at you, but only 10 ingredients, so it's quick, it's easy, they're really readily available ingredients, and you'd be surprised how delicious it'll taste with only 10 ingredients. Garlic can just burn a bit quicker than mushrooms, so we're just adding it in a little bit later. Okay, so while that's cooking down, I'm just gonna prep. I've got 2 medium potatoes and 1 sweet potato, so in total around 800 grams of vegetables. So here we're using potato, sweet potato. It just has to be starchy veg of choice. So you could use squash, you could use pumpkin, you could use sweet potato and potato like I'm using. Just with here, the key is just to chop them into consistent sizes so they cook evenly. Okay, once our mushrooms have cooked down and there's indication of caramelization, just like that, where there's a bit of browning like that, that's a great flavor development. We're gonna pop in the rest of our veg. So in goes our leek, sweet potato, and our potato. We're gonna go with a nice generous pinch of salt. Give it a mix round, just that'll help draw the moisture out of the veg. And we're gonna change from frying into steaming, also known as sweating. So I'm gonna literally just take the lid and we're gonna trap this steam here so it suddenly starts to sweat. Because heat transfers 20 times quicker in air than it does, or in water than it does in air. And if there's any stuck bits, we're gonna deglaze the pan. So you see here it's starting to stick. I'm just gonna add in a little bit of water. Just catch that flavor, just incorporate it nicely. And that extra bit of moisture is just gonna allow more steaming. So don't be afraid, I've about 4 tablespoons of water in there. Pop the lid on and just trap it. Okay, it's been around 10 minutes. Woo, big dramatic, lid off. So just give it a stir just to check there's nothing sticking, incorporate any little brownness. And the big measure of whether they're cooked or not, take a fork and just check a large potato and it should go in nice and easy. If it is, we're good to go. We're gonna turn that off the heat. We're gonna add in our mustard actually first. So we've got 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, in it goes. Just pop that in, turn it off the heat, and allow the flavors to melee together. Okay, time to make our bechamel, fancy name for a white sauce. So have your pan on a medium heat, or your hob on a medium heat. Get a saucepan. We're gonna pop in 8 tablespoons of oil. Might seem like a lot, but this dish does 6 to 8 people. Okay, next step, 8 tablespoons of plain flour. If you're a celiac, just use gluten-free flour. And just give it a sieve, it'll just give you a smoother bechamel. Take a whisk and we're gonna make our roux. So here we're just trying to cook off a little bit of the rawness of the flour. Just kind of keep stirring it for about a minute until it goes lightly golden. So after about a minute, just slowly start to add in your flour, your milk. So we're using oat milk. We're gonna just pop in about 1/4 at a time and just till it incorporates. So I've got 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, in that goes. I'm gonna go with a nice, about 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm gonna season it again at the end. Might seem like lots, but just keep it moving. And goes a little bit more milk. So the secret to a good bechamel is just to slowly incorporate the milk at each stage, so it just becomes super silky. Pinch of black pepper. So we're just waiting here until it starts to boil. As it starts to boil, the starches are gonna release. It's just gonna thicken the bechamel until it's really creamy. Okay, so just how to know if your bechamel is ready, take it up, turn it upside down. It should coat the back of the spoon lovely. And when I put my finger through it like that, it should stay perfectly. Really nice. Oh, nice. So just taste it and just make sure, season it to your liking. If you want more salt, add more salt. If it's a bit too tight and a bit too heavy, put in just a tiny little bit of acid. So season it to taste. I love the bit of garlic powder through it, and that's perfect for me. So before it gets too thick, we're gonna just pop it in. So the potatoes in here are gonna add to the starchiness, and we're just gonna pop it in right now. Just give it a nice mix there, just so it's all nicely incorporated and the flavors start to marry together beautifully. It's really creamy. This is a rich, beautiful, indulgent dish. So I've got a 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter pan. I'm just gonna pop it all in here. Okay, so we've got one sheet of ready-made puff pastry. Most puff pastry, you'll be pleased to know, is mostly vegan, but use whatever you have. Just measure it up to the size of your dish with a little bit extra just in case. And it's easier just to crisscross it here rather than doing it on the dish. So I'm just gonna lightly crisscross it. So the secret, if you do want to do that before getting it up, is just to make sure not to go too deep at all. Just crimp it into the edges there. No one minds a little bit of extra pastry. And I'm just going to get a little bit of a pastry brush. I have a little bit of oil. You could use oat milk, use whatever you have. Don't worry too much. You could also use any type of non-dairy milk of choice. It'll work too great. Voila. Okay, I've preheated my oven to 180 to 200 degrees Celsius, approximately 380 to 400 Fahrenheit. I'm gonna bake it until it comes out nice and golden. It's funny when you cook your own recipes in a lid like this, you're kind of nervous, you really hope they'll work. Anyway, an aside, it's been in the oven for about 20 minutes. What we're looking for is that it comes out golden, crispy, and delicious like that. So this is a perfect winter dish, creamy mushroom puff pastry pie. Okay, this makes a wonderful centerpiece dish. That's the word, centerpiece dish. But if you're not feeling that, just take a spoon. It's perfectly comforting food. So just to show you how creamy, how beautiful, and this is the extra pasty bit. Look at that. Mushroom hanging out there, little bit of leek, little bit of carrot. Oh. Like, it's so tasty. Beside the fact that I burnt my mouth, it's actually incredibly tasty. It tastes nearly like, I'm trying to guess the flavor of crisps, and it tastes like a pack of crisps. You know, that type of just incredibly satiation. Crispy, gooey, savory, mushroomy, leaky, anyway, I'm waffling, but I'm gonna go in for more. But thank you for watching this. Thank you for being part of this channel. Click subscribe down below. We do have loads more videos, and wishing you a wonderful day. If you do make it, check out our book. We're really proud. So it's a bestseller. 10 most popular veg, 10 ways using 10 ingredients or less. Cheers, bye.